if my face currently is giving you the appearance of a completely defeated, disappointed, and mildly, potentially heartbroken by all of the automotive stress and headaches lately, that is this appearance right now. Hello and welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage. And this is a vehicle I had no intentions of doing a follow-up video on. This is my 2004 Cadillac Escalade ESV, which you guys let me know stood for Escalade Stretch Vehicle or Extra Special Suburban Vehicle. I don't know, basically it's a really big, giant, fancy Suburban that I picked up for $550 because a shop couldn't figure out a broken wire. It's something where, yes, I threw a crank sensor in it, but then very easily found a damaged wire and we've had this thing running. Ever since this thing's run, only one day have I not driven it. It was just because I needed to drive the truck home. It's been phenomenal and, you know, it's earned some more maintenance. It's earned some more repairs and it's proven itself, you know, worth putting money into. Although at that price, you really couldn't go wrong putting money in it at all. Again, $550. I bought a $60 crank sensor, which I didn't need. I spent more insuring it and registering it than making it work. Also, I do want to address one thing that I saw in the comments a lot. It's my fault. If you don't see it, it's not there. Yes, there were jack stands under the vehicle while I was under it. I had a friend who passed away from a collapsed jack. I will never go under a vehicle that's not supported. Please, doesn't matter how quick, make sure there's a secondary support. Don't rely only on a jack. It's not a good thing to have happen, have it collapsed. You don't want to get hurt from something stupid. So with that out of the way, what are we going to be doing to the Great Pyrenees hauler that is this Escalade? Well, we had a coolant leak from the water pump. We had an oil leak from the front main seal. It needs an oil change. We had the very, very common LS exhaust manifold tick from the broken bolts. So we're gonna address that, which I am not looking forward to in car, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna be installing the 2005 and newer electric cooling fans into this truck, and I will show you the parts of it that are very easy for you to do at home, and then one thing that you won't be able to necessarily do at home and will need to rely on someone to tune or reflash the ECU to control those fans. And then we're gonna put cop car brakes on it because, you know, these 20s look great, the brakes look awful behind it, and two, a little more stopping power is helpful. So.
Dad.
What?
I'm bored.
Here, play today's sponsor. That's right, it is winter season and you're sure to have a few things in the back seat absolutely hounding you that they're bored on the road trip. Well, you can hand them an entire world in your phone, tablet, other mobile device that is going to give them over 800 different champions to customize the way they want to play. There's literally millions of ways that you can play the game. To defeat powerful dungeon bosses, go on special raids. There's a way to play the game no matter what you're looking for. If you want an epic story, it's got that. If you just want thrash and beat up someone else, they've got the PvP ready for you. And if you like, you know, playing your games with a little seasonal flair, there are tons of frosty champions that you can pick and put on your team. Tormund the Cold is a Void legendary champion and is considered a great champion for the endgame content. He can function as a crowd control champion for wave-based content in the dungeons and faction wars, or as a total nightmare for enemies in the arena to contend with. And Gilsa Soul Guide of the Sacred Order. If you like your champions cold of heart, Gilsa is the one for you. She's excellent to counter champions that increase cooldowns, instead placing freeze debuffs back onto them. Coupled with other debuffs, Gilsa Soul Guide is a great winter-themed champion. The big news update that I am leveling hard to tackle is the new Cursed City update. The Cursed City is the biggest update since the Doom Tower, with 100 stages to complete
including some of them that require you tackling 2 raid bosses at once.
Also, right now you can get involved in Raid's Christmas Story, a special holiday-themed event where you can follow Sir Nicholas through a festive story. It comes with mini games to solve and the chance to win both in-game and real-life prizes ranging from epic and legendary champions to even Amazon gift cards. All you need to do to join the event is head to raidxmas.com.
So what are you waiting for? If you haven't started playing yet, click my link in the description box below or scan this QR code and download the game today, and you're gonna get some absolutely insane beginner bonuses. First is Light Swarm. You get him right from the get-go. He's fantastic for helping you level through the early stages of the game. Once you hit level 15, you unlock Juliana. From the Sacred Order, she is an attack-type warrior wielding magic affinity. She does a great job at knocking the bosses down. Once you're downloaded, find me in the game, Jared TQG, the Questionable Garage, and join the clan Questionable Players, TKG, and we can play some in the game, tackle some clan bosses together. So hit my link, scan the QR code, download it, and let's be legends together.
So, without further ado, let's get this hood open, let's get the coolant out of it, and let's get to fixing our $550 Escalade. All right, hood up. Now, we will get this thing on the lift here in a little bit. I don't want to keep rolling around on the ground. But we need to get all of this clear and then get some coolant out of this thing. Let's see, how's that shot? How's that looking for you? Let me bring you in a little closer. Hopefully you guys don't get too much in the way. There we go. So, what's kind of crazy, I just kind of laughed a little bit to myself that, you know, we bought this thing, $550. We put a sensor in that we didn't necessarily have to do. I'll own up to it. Doesn't hurt. And then, you guys loved it so much, I spent $880 on repair and upgrade parts, you know? But I really don't mind that, because again, I've honestly been driving this thing every single day. It's been really comfortable. Not this episode, but definitely for too much longer, we're going to be doing some type of audio system upgrade. Not having CarPlay or even just Bluetooth audio, it makes me sad, if we're being completely honest. Well, that's definitely been glued on once before. Our little, how dirty is our filter gauge? I'll make sure we plug that hole, because that is post-filter. I don't necessarily really need that. What do you think? Should I order the cold air intake for this bad boy? Get a little induction noise. It's one of those things where I almost want to hot rod it, you know, get a truck cam, we can do a nice high stall converter, make this thing violent and fun, but then it's just meant to drive around, be a kind of a daily, and stay comfortable. It's that whole thing where we can't leave it alone, even though we really should. Just did not want to undo. There we go. Come on. You can do it. Let's see. Look at that. Brand new air filter. Man, it's even got like a brand new, freshly, like the throttle body's just been cleaned in it. It's spotless. Shops, why do you gotta be so bad sometimes, man? I love these spring clamp pliers. They have little swivel teeth that bite in really well. You do a good job of generally protecting your hands from those things. Let that drain out a little bit. Now, I don't want to assume, but since we are doing the cooling fan upgrade, I would think you'd know, start with remove cooling fan assembly. And once that's off, these are actually pretty nice that they come off in 2 pieces. Some of them are just one giant shroud, which is kind of a gangly mess to try to work around. Thankfully, this is not that. One thing I'll bring you in, show you in a little bit too, I hadn't seen before. I thought it was pretty cool. One way of dealing with the braking exhaust manifold bolts. Doesn't work in every scenario, but it worked at least in half of this truck's problems. Because spoiler, I like pulling them hot, and I've already removed those bolts, so I know what fun awaits. It may seem silly, but we enjoy driving and bringing our big silly puppies around. And they really like going on road trips. Especially now that they have a little bit more room. Wow, this fan clutch is a little loose. So I used to have the really cool tool that would go in there and then you hit it with an air hammer. Tragically, it's amazing the number of my tools that have grown legs over the years. So instead, we'll try this and then smack that with a hammer. Alright, we may end up going to the air hammer method. Okay, standard threads for this one. There we go. Out you come. Alright, let's undo our thermostat. And there goes the rest of it. We didn't catch any of that. Not a drop. Let me pause while I mop, and then we'll come back together with a new angle. All right, let's get you down in the hole. Now you'll notice I did go ahead and pop the water pump off. It's just 6 bolts. I didn't think you needed to see it. Now you may ask, why, when it comes to oil leaks, am I pointing to a front crank seal before maybe the front timing cover? It's semi-common for these front timing cover gaskets to end up leaking, but I'm not 100% sold on it because, one, we had the leaky water pump, which is going to create a very similar looking grime, and I could see a small drip off the front crank seal going straight down. That was our oil. A little bit easier to go ahead and do just a crank seal. Hopefully I don't end up having to come all the way back in here. It's one of those borderline things. If you're tearing it down to the point that you've pulled the crank pulley out, is it worth getting one of those gaskets? Just because of how cars have been to me lately, probably I should do that, but we're going to go with just a crank seal first. Also, we were talking about the broken exhaust manifold bolts on an LS. If you're at all familiar with them, the factory bolts like to break and pop off. Something I've not seen, and it's still on, is this little clamp setup. I think it's pretty ingenious. Bolts to the bosses of the cylinder head, and then you're able to tension it and put pressure and help minimize the tick. Downside to that is if it's in the middle of the manifold, there's no way to really clamp onto it. And then what happened on this side, it's going to be really kind of hard to see, but in the front, you can't do it because the coolant temperature sensor lives there. So our current repair process of basically making it perfect is we need to lift the truck up, undo those bottom manifold bolts. I already went through and did the cylinder head bolts because, again, I have had best luck when it's hot pulling them off. Once that's all pulled out, we're going to extract the broken bolts. There's a method that I've had incredibly good luck with. You guys may or may not be familiar with it. It's putting a washer around the hole and then a nut, welding that nut to the broken stud, or technically bolt, and then extracting it. So really easy to me when it's out of the truck. When it is sitting in the truck, especially the driver's side, it's very difficult. And we have, well, it didn't go well extracting them. So I guess Dwayne can roll that beautiful bean footage of me extracting all of the bolts, and then we'll pick the truck up, get the manifolds completely out. Then the reason we're not doing the water pump back in just yet, we want it taken apart to give us more room to stretch and weld and do what we need to there. So we'll get through that. We'll hopefully have our exhaust leak fixed, finish putting our water pumps together, do our front crank seal, electric cooling fans, and then cop car brakes. You know, Blues Brother. If you don't know, it's got the cop car engine, cop car brakes.
It's got cop tires, cop suspension, cop shocks. It's a model made before catalytic converters, so it'll run good on regular gas.
So I've had best luck on these bolts on a warm engine. I know not everyone likes it warm, but I'm also trying to minimize
the amount that break and need to be welded and removed. All right, 50% so far. If the back one cooperates, cross your fingers and toes for me, guys. We need the one in the back. For some reason, I don't think it's going to. But I can dream. That's hot. Ow. Car that's been running, and you specifically mentioned you like working on this particular thing when they're hot, is hot? I know, it's crazy. Mad talk. Oh. I need to find, Dwayne got me this really cool, ow, woo, toasty, cool LED light that's rechargeable specifically for filming. I should use that more often, I think. Okay. Hey, okay, so the original broken one and one more, I believe, is it. Hot tamale. Woohoo! All right, do that one more time. Well, this being the side that there's like just no room under there, I couldn't really put you in a spot that you could see anything I was working on. So, I mean, I really can't see what I'm working on either. So I figured we'll just, you know, exist and talk through this fun together without being able to see anything, right? I always like to, on these plug wires, give them a little spin, because that generally is your best shot at unlocking them. You know, like breaking that seal. Yeah, ow. Oh. So there's the very back one. The second one up is broken already, and the very front one's broken. I really hope the one in the very back just comes out. This one here. And I can't use this socket. Please, dear caddy, be good to me, because I'm trying to be good to you. It's been broken a while and just riding. I mean, I'm not surprised. That's a common one to break. I just... So 5 bolts total. That's not awful. About 5 more than I want to deal with. Also, ow, ow, hot, hot, hot. I think those are the original spark plugs. And the reason I say that is they got white dots on the tips. It's not always, but it's generally an indicator that those are stock, the original installed ones. I need to research the AC Delcos, because it does have that mark on it, and in Toyota land, that means they're the original plugs, but that does not look like a 157,000 mile plug. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Yes, you can. I believe it. Oh, maybe not. I need like a slightly shorter one. I could have sworn there was a slightly shorter one in my kit. Yeah, there's a slightly shorter one in my kit. I don't know if it actually makes it better. So not only are we going to do plugs, it was almost kind of mandatory in order to pull these manifolds off so we can fix all the broken bolts. So the method I love, especially if you have a little bit of stud sticking out, is you slide a washer down first, and then this is a 3/8 grade 8 nut. If you need hardware, not sponsored, Tractor Supply by the pound is amazing. Enough to do like 3 LS's was $4. So what that looks like when you have a little bit of a stud is you see the washer, the nut, and then we're going to come in and weld that center and connect the broken stud to that nut, and then we're going to back it off. And we're gonna do that one.
And we have 2 on the other side to do. The way it works is the heat kind of helps break things loose. There's lots of things going on, and it works best, I would say, really when you have dissimilar metals. The steel and aluminum, as you're welding, you might melt the aluminum, but you're not gonna weld the bolt into the aluminum unless you've developed a new technology. Congratulations on your billions of dollars that you're about to earn for welding steel to aluminum. But yeah, set up the camera and let's get these broken bolts out so we can get our crank seal replaced, so we can get the water pump back in, and then do our cop car brakes. Make sure you got your power disconnected. Otherwise, you may be buying an ECU. Also, we're going to go ahead and run our tap through all of these before putting new bolts on. Just clean the threads up. And boom. That's one down. 4 to go. Tell you what, Ford guys are really used to this method. Because them Fords, they really enjoy. Yep. Yeah, that wasn't good penetration again. Let's try that again. Did it still not bite? Knock on it. I'm not having a good day of this. Maybe I should just pick it up, weld from the side. Come on, Jared. Everyone's watching. They're counting on you. By everyone, I mean it's mostly just the 2 Great Pyrenees. They like their truck. Well, I guess you guys are kind of counting on me too. All right, that feels like it's bit in there. There we go. Now, that's warm. All right. What I can't figure out is how or why the guy's been outside my shop weed eating for what feels like an eternity. It's December. Nothing's growing. If my face currently is giving you the appearance of a completely defeated, disappointed, and mildly, potentially heartbroken by all of the automotive stress and headaches lately, that is this appearance right now. So, we got this aside, all apart, no problem. We were able to get those studs removed. And we got one of the studs removed on this side. The one in the front that I thought wouldn't be a problem, it's a huge problem. The one in the back, it's a catastrophically huge problem. And while I could set up and drill the front stud, even with my right angle drill, I can't really get to the back one. I could order one of those clamps that'll fit driver's rear, but I like this truck. I want to drive this truck a lot, and while they work, I want to do it right. So my super simple fix of $32 gaskets and $20 worth of bolts has just gotten major. You guys wanted to see some Escalade work, so what does it mean? What does it mean? Well, sitting on the shelf over by the door, right there is a pair of fresh 317 heads that have just come back from the machine shop. For another project, I've got head gaskets, I've got head bolts. So, to fix it right, we're going overkill, and we're pulling the heads. We're going to put a different set of heads on it so we can fix an exhaust leak. About as extreme as you can get, but again, I really like the truck. You guys like the truck. And I want to fix it right. So I could have left it alone. I barely even heard the tick on the inside. but I figured let's just fix everything that I see wrong with it. So, I'm gonna just set up a time lapse so I can blast some really good music and just hammer through this. I know you guys enjoy us talking through this as I'm working on stuff, but I need some music. So I'm sure you guys have been there. I'm sure you guys have hopefully understand where just sometimes cars are pain, cars are joy, and sometimes cars are just evil. Well, let's update you to the progress. We have 10 exhaust manifold bolts in. That's got to be the most ridiculous, hardest way to put exhaust manifold bolts in. The one thing that's stopping us is I do not have crossover gaskets. Thought I did. Little steam ports there. We're doing all this, we may as well do it right. So, exhaust manifold's fully bolted on, new heads in, everything is torqued. I was going to throw the accessory stuff in, but realized it shrouded that crossover. So I'm going to go home. You know, we had a fun premiere with the S10 EV. Appreciated all of you jumping in and kind of chatting away. As we unveiled that project, we got all kinds of cool stuff we're going to be working through. But I'm going to pick up my gaskets in the morning, get this thing running. A day and a half late because we got to get it running again. Still do the brakes. Actually, you know, the ad spot you've already seen, I still need to shoot it. I had planned to do that about 2 hours ago, but, you know, sometimes cars do that. And it's just, you have two options, give up or figure it out and keep going along. And I think it's still a great deal. I'm still going to go on. We got a good deal on the puppy hauler, but I'll see you in the morning with some gaskets.
I dropped and then stepped on a memory card. So our front assembly is all together. Crank seal, water pump, our heads are on, our intake is torqued, and my cooling fans are bolted in. And the Escalade is just continuing to be, I don't know. I guess we did too good to begin with. Apologize, I know some of you guys in the comments were kind of excited to see the crank seal. It's an LS. I'm sure I can do another one before too much longer. The main thing is use the right tools, the right pullers, and the right installers, and it's really easy to do. And then I got the cooling fans bolted in. So now we're going to install the electrical control. This isn't just plug it in, pin it to the ECU, and it's going to work. You're going to have to reflash the computer. We're starting with, it is Nelson Performance harness, relay harness, which I'm actually the initial quality is pretty impressive. The instructions are straightforward. Plug it in. They tell you where to mount these into the ECU case. Your power goes right here to a nice junction box. So seems all straightforward and, you know, fun to do. Now, we must also resist the urge. When we flash the computer, I need to tell myself, I will not put a hot rod tune on it. I really want to put a hot rod tune on it, but this is also just a simple daily, and it doesn't need it. It needs to just be, pop off our ECU cover. Pop off our ECU cover with this bad boy. Actually, they say to pop the ECU out, but I don't know that we need to. Now we're back to upgrading. I don't get cars sometimes. I have a tight schedule with the holidays. I'm trying to help a friend. I still have to do Christmas shopping. Thankfully, my wife is absolutely amazing and understanding. Move all this stuff out of the way. Come on. Give it to me. There you go. So it does have specific. It has a blue wire and a green wire. Blue connector, pin 4. All right. These instructions are phenomenal. I like when things are written well. I've consistently had the best luck with the little hose style pliers. Like these. Because they're able to reach in and they pinch in the best. For removal, what's really nice too is these factory housings and most of the aftermarkets have your pin cavities cast in them. So green pin 33, there it is right there. You finally get it to release and then you accidentally push it back down. All right, and then blue, pin 42. That's interesting. There's been some moisture ingress in here. We got some corrosion. Well, let me get this pinned, well, and then I will clean it real quick. See, look, that fan upgrade's gonna work out because we see this corrosion and we can clean it now before it becomes a problem. That was easy. No more rinse. Good as new. This fun. Sometimes you have to tell yourself that. So once we get this wired up, we're gonna pick it up and then finally unveil our brake upgrade. All right, let me zip tie, get this engine bay together, and we'll go put some brakes on. All right, I went ahead and put one side on, so old rotor, new rotor. It's a little bit bigger. It's thicker, it's taller. The caliper has a bigger sweat pad area. All good things. You may be asking, why do you necessarily want a bigger rotor for your brakes? It all comes down to basically thermal capacity, the heat load, how well it can absorb heat and then dissipate that heat. If you know physics, you can't just make energy disappear. You have kinetic energy, energy in motion. When you apply the brakes, it turns that energy into heat energy, and then it then has to dissipate that heat energy through the cooling vanes. So, again, a bigger brake rotor is just a bigger reservoir for that heat before it's able to dissipate it off. So, especially with the 20s, you know, and the massive truck, 2007 or newer,
gets that bigger brake rotor. And if you use the Pursuit Tahoe brake calipers, they have a much better brake piston seal inside that caliper, and it all bolts right on. I've also seen some people say the new Brembo stuff will bolt right on. I don't have any personal experience with it, so I can't tell you if it can or not. You know how the internet is. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. Also, the 6-piston Brembos would have been a whole lot more expensive than, you know, factory style stuff. I'm also really excited that one of my trucks, I can finally put some of the Brake Best Select Pro stuff on it. I really like the quality of it. Just either my vehicles didn't need brakes or I had to go to their import lineup. So finally, I get to use the stuff that I think is better than OEM in a lot of applications. All right, we're still topping up coolant. I have not programmed the fans yet, but, you know, given the major engine, you know, surgery to fix an exhaust leak, I figured we'll start it, make sure it runs, and then we will worry about programming the computer. That was a smooth first start. It's not running perfectly smooth yet, but it fired right into life. It's getting smoother. There's no terrifying noises. So if you want to fix an exhaust leak on your LS, all you need to do is change the cylinder heads. Well, the truck works again. I still got to drive it. It's dark out. We can't film anything on the drive. We have a mess on the floor. But we have an upgraded Cadillac. I guess, you know, getting by with that free fix, you know, just fixing a wire, we had to pay it back a little bit. I thought we were doing that by upgrading it, trying to fix all of those small exhaust leaks and fluid leaks. I have never had such bad luck not being able to remove broken exhaust studs and bolts that the welding has always worked. And ultimately, we could have still fixed it in the car. It was just there was not a lot of access. And it seemed just like the most practical thing. I already had the parts on hand to do cylinder heads. So the total normal and reasonable thing to do to fix an exhaust leak is replace your cylinder heads. And we somehow did the responsible thing. I did not hot rod it. I have enough parts scattered around. We could have done racing intake manifolds and upgraded fuel and all kinds of cool stuff, and we just put it back together fixed. It was the right thing to do. This is meant to be a daily, and sometimes, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, your daily doesn't need to be hot rodded. That tasted like vinegar saying. But it is fixed. We have our upgraded brakes. It has got no more exhaust leaks. We've got our coolant leaks under control. Sorry I didn't get to show you all of that. Sometimes when you're frustrated, you accidentally break memory cards. That's a thing, but our coolant is staying in. Our oil is staying in from what I can tell so far. We'll find out when we drive it. We made it. It was supposed to be a one-day quick and easy thing, having fun. And I still had fun. The truck is running great. It's going to keep running great, and we got to experience it together. Speaking of experiencing stuff together, if you haven't yet, click my link in the description box below. Go ahead and scan that QR code. Join me in Raid Shadow Legends. Have some fun. Pass some time while you're trying to just stay calm when everything's going wrong. I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices. And I'm saying it again, it's for the love of cars. They don't always love us back. I don't know, sometimes it feels like an abusive relationship with these things.